Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sathology, debunking mythology. Sat means truth, logos means a study or science, Sathology means the science of truth. Opposite of that is mythology. Sanskrit comes from a root Sanskrit word called myth, and logos is study or science. Sathology, mythology means a science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. Sathology, our logo is debunking mythology. So please do not call any Vedic literature or Puran as mythology. All are Smriti and Shruti are all Sathology. And this word is for American and Western audience. For Indians, you can use the word itihas. It's a very wonderful word. Okay? Any Sanskrit word is a beautiful word. And thank you for liking the last show on by Dr. Varsha Sharda on Sanskrit. So today I have a very, very special guest in a special discussion. He's a Swami researcher, a wonderful person, a teacher, a guide to many people, and also burns many people's hearts. So without delay, let us welcome Shri Nilesh Nilkant Oak.
Namaskar Aditya ji. Good morning to you. And wonderful. We had some change of plans, and I would like to thank all the loyal viewers who changed their schedules to join us. So thank you, everyone.
So coming back to law, which is also dharma in many ways. So dharma is supposed to be constant. It cannot be changing for everyone. Like, for example, the whole world wants security. They want employment, security, a freedom to choose what they want to choose, and freedom to protect themselves when they want to. And that is dharma. And any kind of Vadanti tato vidas, whether you believe in Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan, it doesn't matter. Sanatan Dharma has many options you've got. So now, when somebody imposes or takes away your dharma or right, well, rights are adhikar. Well, the only adhikar you got is karma, but the dharma is constant for everyone. So what do you have to say when the selective application of law is misused? What do you have to add on that, sir?
Okay. Well, thank you. That's a very good question. So let's begin with the dharma. You already said it. It's something that shouldn't change, does not change. Dhru, in the sense of a steady, standing. In fact, that is the dhru is the root of course, dharma. It is also the root of a tree. From dhru, the true, dhru easily can become in a vocal cords true. That's where the truth, which also is the same, it cannot change, or it's one. And also from there, it also comes the tree, which means what? It stands. The fact that tree stands. Now, so back to dharma. Yes, it is something same and it does not change. So how do we have a relative or different interpretation of that same thing? Just before also we discussed, which is to say, wouldn't we expect if everyone is following the dharma or everyone is following that same rule book, that they should lead to the same conclusion? I mean, that's the expectation. But in real life, that doesn't happen. Right. And today, actually, I mean, again, you didn't even know what I was going to talk about. But today we will talk about why the distinction happens. Because the rule book may be the same, the dharma as it stands may be the same, but the people who are applying it, people who are interpreting, people who are consuming it, they have a variation. And where does that variation comes from? That variation comes from another thing that you mentioned, that the only thing that truly we have a right to, which is karma. We have only right to karma. So through our karma, we change our everything else. Basically, we change our intellect, we change our shraddha, we change our ability to comprehend something, we change our attitude. Like, do we develop a samyak attitude? Do we develop a balanced attitude? Like in the rules and laws, it nyaya devata, right? We typically talk, it's a balance. She's holding a balance. But many times, you also see, not many times, almost all times, you see the eyes are covered of a nyaya devata, right? The justice, Now,
as a colonial law.
as a colonial law. Now, you can also look at that eyes covered in a two fashion, in a positive and negative. And we will talk about those same aspects, what we discussed today. So today our topic is like a pradnya versus adnyan. Okay. The truth versus falsehood, knowledge versus ignorance. I mean, there are many definitions to it. Pradnya also means design. It also means device in the sense of like a design thinking. Whereas Adnana means there is no method. The person has the personal gratification at mind, certain agenda, and to justify or prove that agenda, the person will do anything out of ignorance. Okay. So we will see this different definition, but quickly, the last one. When you see the Nyaya Devata with her eyes covered, and you said, well, it's a Western colonial. True, but I'm saying that one you can look at it both ways. I mean, we can take a positive interpretation of even the eyes being covered and negative. The positive is she's holding a balance in her hand and her eyes are covered, which is to say she's not seeing what is there in the two sides of the balance. She just wants to make sure that it is equal, it is balanced, okay, in principle. Now, the other negative interpretation of that is that unfortunately, it's like as if blind, which is to say, and we will talk about that also, just taking a literal meaning is not sufficient. For example, what if the person in a court trial accused, he says, yeah, I killed that individual, I am guilty. Even when the person says I am guilty, the court should not accept the verdict. But if they literally take it, oh yeah, this person is saying he shot it, so let's hang the person. It doesn't happen like that, right? There may be many other things in the background. So the positive side is it's very neutral or supposed to be balanced. It doesn't want to be biased. The negative side of this blindness is that it may not take into account the background knowledge, the smruti. And so dharma, think of dharma as a shruti. It is something that doesn't change. But smruti is the application of that dharma, which actually does change because it takes into account many factors that you and me may not be aware.
Yes. Also, the deity of Dharmaraj, which is not Yamraj. People confuse Dharmaraj and Yamraj. Dharmaraj is a different person. Because when Mahabharata happened, Yamraj came as Vidur, but Dharmaraj's son was Yudhishthir. Now, Dharmaraj is a person who is a very conscious person. And Chitragupta is actually assisting Yamraj as well as Dharmaraj because he's using Dharmaraj to document things. Now, here, the Dharmaraj deity has big eyes because he's seeing everything. Now, the concept of self-defense is as a dharma principle, is a dharmic principle. Every human being has the right, or any creator, any living, moving thing in the world has the right to defend themselves. Therefore, Bhagwan gives a dog a right to defend himself, a cat, or any other animal, including a spider, is going to defend themselves. So that right cannot be taken away. But in any situation, in today's world, however, the differentiation is made that when suddenly attacker attacks and the defender, when he tries to defend, because defense is always more aggressive than attack. The reason is because in defense, the moral attitude is higher and the capability to respond is much deeper. And because the morality is little higher because he's not attacked first. So today's laws take away the right of the defender completely. So there is no talk about the victim nowadays. Aggressor becomes a victim. They go to claim the victim as well. So in that, the selective, when the dharma becomes weak, and the Supreme Court law of the United States say very clearly, police doesn't have the responsibility to protect you all the time. They can stay neutral if there is a danger to their own lives. There is a very clear law. Now, in today's scenario, when you interpret dharma, now if you see, sometimes the dharma can be proactive. Also, many actions like Yudhishthira Maharaj did very proactive actions. And dharma can be reactive also.
Hmm.
But the reactive dharma is very, very strong. Very
Hmm.
response is much more violent.
Hmm.
So in today's context, the selective application of dharma has given rise to dissatisfaction across the world. When we talk about dharma, then it is applies to every single human being on the planet, or even animals, because the biggest problem of human greed has been the animal world,
Hmm.
because their habitats have been destroyed, and ours also.
Yeah.
What do you have to say on that?
Okay. Well, you covered so many points. So I'll just pick the last one just for that reason. The wonderful points, which is again you started with what applies to us. Like so, I was going to say na karma lipyate nare from Ishopanishad, which is to say we have a right to karma, but also like why it will not attach you when you follow your swadharma. So dharma, but also swadharma. So, for example, for a lion or a tiger, what is his swadharma? I mean, he has a certain type of diet, and the intellect level is such that he's not going to change diet. I mean, there is no point. I mean, you can actually do it in experiments, but there is no point naturally demanding on his own without intervention that lion becomes a vegetarian. That's not his swadharma. I mean, as simple as that. So therefore, when lion is hungry and he eats it, yes, there is a violence, and yes, there is a killing of another animal and whatnot. But it's not going to attach any effect of that karma to the lion. Actually, he's just living his swadharma. So that was just one aspect. But as I said, let me take the last one. You said how even with our misunderstanding of the dharma, how even the animal kingdom is getting affected. Let's split this into, for a simplicity, into two. One is think of a livestock, okay, which is how the industrialization has totally is totally torturing the cows and the pigs and all the animals that are consumed. That's number one. Very, very sad, very bad for the environment, bad for the ecology, bad for our own sustenance. We are on a suicidal mission with the livestock. Okay, that is one aspect, which is what human beings want to eat mindlessly. That's one problem. But just to keep it short, let's take the other aspect that may appear to be good, which is what? Like pets, like people having their dogs and cats. And that's like a good thing, right? I mean, human beings have always, through the civilizational times, surrounded by pets, and domesticated animals. But so in domesticated animals like cows and buffaloes and whatnot and pigs, they have been exploited in an industrial machinery kind of fashion, industrial exploitation on a very mass scale without any conscience. I mean, just very sad. And it's affecting us with the health and all. I mean, people should watch some of the wonderful documentaries that have been made, what the animal protein does to your body and so on. But I said it's a long, big subject. The second one, just coming to the pets, and I'll just close that on a humorous anecdote. But what happens is the pets. I mean, I grew up with pets, dogs and whatnot, and they were given little bit of food, very loyal, they are joyful and roaming around your household and whatnot. And now people have these pets, they are given treatment even more than people are giving better treatment than their own children, possibly. But unfortunately, with a very blind following of a textbook, like how much pet should be fed, and all this pet food that is a processed food that you are feeding, guess what? It's coming from a livestock industry. Even human beings are not eating a good quality food, especially with the non-veg food, but even vegetarian food is getting affected. What to speak of the food that is given to animals? It is of a very low kind. And therefore, what is happening is the animals, the people's pets, they are getting sick. Okay, they are spending a lot of on the Medicare, and that Medicare is another racket, but I'll not go there. But the last story I want to end with this is like, as I will go in my neighborhood, and this is a few years ago, and one of my neighbor, she was having her cat. I'm trying to think, maybe cat or a dog, and she, because she was hurting, so there was this some pull up kind of thing that this lady had at the backside of a dog, so that the dog could walk comfortably. And I said, "Oh, well, what's the problem with the dog or cat?" Whatever. And she said, "Actually, all kinds of problems." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" and says, well, the dog or cat, whatever, it had a osteoporosis, it had a high blood pressure problem, high cholesterol. I mean, these kind of things. And jokingly, I said, Aditya ji, I said, oh, she must be eating a human diet. and the lady, of course, got the humor, and we just had she laughed and we had a pleasant conversation. But some of the recommendations that are given, even for the pet food, are forced recommendation to just increase that consume, spend and spend. Because I remember like big dogs that we had in India, and how little food they ate. And frankly, that applies to us also. We eat, actually, all of us, we eat a lot more than what we need. So I'll say, no matter where we apply, the misunderstanding of it is going to affect us.
Thank you so much. I think. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right in the misunderstanding aspect, because if we do not understand our adhikar and also the dharma, then we will naturally, dharma always wins. The truth always wins. And even if in a general scenario, like the law of anywhere in the world, ultimately everyone will say the same thing. The truth wins in anything. It may be delayed sometimes because of our own karma. It always wins. And we can get started today because it's a similar topic today.
It's identical. It's identical. So I'm going to start sharing, actually. So Pradnya versus Adnyana. Now, we say that Sanskrit words are so perfect that they have one meaning. Well, yeah, that is directionally correct. But also, Sanskrit is such an old language, oldest language, one of the oldest, if not the oldest. The word Sanskrit itself means it was formed, in a very mathematical, scientific way, which means it might have been formed from other things. That's why you go to the root of each word, the etymology, and you can all do that, Vakra and whatnot. But Pradnya has many meanings. One is like intelligence. It also means the truth, versus Adnyana means ignorance. Also, it means falsehood. Pradnya also means a device, like a method, it also means design, a specific method, like think of design thinking. It also means consciousness. Okay. Many meaning attached to it. Now, if you look at all of them, you will see that they will aim towards right, correct, accurate, precise, closer to the truth, approximation to the truth. So in that sense, it is the same meaning. If you take the word Adnyana, you will find many meanings to Adnyan, but actually taking you towards that same thing, towards ignorance, misinterpretation, wrong interpretation, deliberate mischief, and you will see that. So now, in our everyday life, in our scientific theories, in our claims, how do we discriminate between this, what is true and what is false? Last time, if you remember, we talked about prama versus aprama, the truth versus non-truth. Okay, something again very similar. Now you just see how you get the different flavors of it. For example, if we have to write a mathematical formula, let's say, for what is truth, like a Sattology is that search and the method and philosophy of going after the truth. But the truth itself, this is the formula that one can write. Okay, for example, and I'll read that to you if you cannot read Nagari. Shraddha plus Pradnya plus Virya equal to Satya, the truth. So Shraddha is what? A conviction. Okay, everything has to start with a conviction. We take it for granted. We make certain assumption. Now, Shraddha also has another word, just like a Pradnya versus Adnyana, Jnana versus Adnyana, you can talk about. Similarly, Shraddha has a word, Andhashraddha, okay, like a blind belief, blind faith, blind conviction, okay. Similarly, there can be a rightful conviction. We don't know always until we do something more, which is, by the way, Adityaji, lost by many people. If somebody says that person has a Shraddha, we immediately think it's so good. Usually that is the case. But Shraddha can be of a wrong kind, or it can be wrong. It's a conviction in the wrong thing, the Andhashraddha. then Shraddha also has a gradation. Like Shraddha can be sattvic, Shraddha can be rajasic, and Shraddha can be tamasic. I mean, same thing. I mean, we have to truly understand that. Just like buddhi, we say, oh, that guy he's buddhiman, but he can be buddhiman or she can be buddhiman, and the buddhi can be of a different gradation. And Bhagavad Gita talks about it. Virya, which is a prowess, ability to put efforts, willing to put the efforts, but the efforts can be put in the wrong direction. Effort can be put in the right direction. Okay, not enough of effort. So we are talking of the direction and also the magnitude, like a vector. This is very, very mathematical. Okay, so now we have to bring this together: Shraddha plus Prajna plus Virya plus Satya. And Bhagwan Patanjali brings it up into his Yoga Sutra. So reverence or a conviction, okay, plus intellect, plus courage, heroic deeds, which is to say somebody has to do something about it. That is, I don't know, Aditya, how much you see it. I see it all the day. And where do I see it? Through all these emails that come to me. Many of those emails I don't respond personally because I do not have an ability to respond to those hundreds of emails. I try my best. And those people who would be listening to this, of course, through YouTube eventually, it's very important that if they want to increase the probability of me responding to them, they have to do a better job in what do they do. Okay, again, this equation is very important. If they're saying something purely based on some reverence, some belief or something, usually they're not going to get the answer from me. I try my best with the hope that therefore they change their attitude. So which means they add to that Shraddha, the Prajna, and also some heroic deeds on their part, which is to say, they're just asking as a kutuhal, idle thing, and asking, so Nileshji, respond to me. That will not happen. Not because I don't want to. I just don't have the bandwidth and the time to do it. Okay. Now, Patanjali, therefore, it gives a beautiful formula. Like what I gave you at the top is that formula. Patanjali Yoga Sutra in Samadhipad, the very first part, he's giving this as a sutra, the Yoga Sutra. Sutra is like a formula in a very abstract, quick, sharp formula. E equal to MC square, right? F equal to MA, and that kind of formulas. It's a Shraddha, and you can see how many words are there. And the words that are there in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, but not in the formula above, we are going to talk about. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, 5 words. Out of that, we use Shraddha, Prajna, Virya. We use 3 words, okay? And they take you towards the truth. So the 2 words we did not use is a Smriti that we talked about, Aditya and myself, like Shruti, but also Smriti, the background knowledge, understanding the context of a time, place, and circumstances. You cannot just take that word, use some very crude or what you can say, literal understanding of the language you may have, and try to interpret and say, hey, it's not making sense to me, or I don't agree with somebody's interpretation, because the context matters. You have to have a subject matter knowledge. Just a literal knowledge of a language will not do, period. And Samadhi, which is what? Focus. I tell people, if you want to know something, and this is for everything, even say medical science, right? Right now, the COVID is going around and a huge debate about the COVID vaccination, the pros, there is a pros party and the con party, and all that. That is not a subject, so I'll not go into it today. But people have to go back and understand how the immunity works, okay? And so there is no this or that, either or scenario. There may be truth on both sides of the things. The people who would recommend taking the the medication, or in this case, vaccination. And there is a truth on the side who are vouching for natural immunity. Okay, so something like this. There is no one way, and that's where we need a focus, understanding, also the Smriti, the background knowledge. So let's look at it. So Aditya ji, your question was, I mean, not a question, it was a point for discussion. So if the dharma is the same, how do we get different interpretations? Like where does this confusion comes from? The confusion comes from this, okay? The confusion comes from the lack of understanding of how to understand that dharma, okay? And this is what it's saying. So Shraddha, that is good. Everything should begin with a Shraddha. Unless you have a Shraddha, no action is possible. No karma is possible. For example, suppose if I'm feeling hungry and therefore I say, let me go to the kitchen and eat something. It's such a simple act. People may not think there is a Shraddha involved, but there is a Shraddha. It may be based on my past experience. That is the Smriti, like the background knowledge, but it is there. I say, if I go and eat an apple, it will quench my hunger. Okay. This is my Shraddha. Until I actually do it, I wouldn't know. Some new individual, like a young baby, would not know. I say, I'm feeling something. I'm not feeling happy. I'm feeling uneasy. You say, okay, why don't you go and eat an apple? Okay. So that's something, the background you need, which is to say that testability. What is your experience? The other one is, right now, I don't know if everyone is aware of the situation in the India, but you can talk about situation in USA. Doesn't matter. I mean, there are all these conflicting conflicts are going on. I mean, newspapers and news agencies are busy making broader stories out of it. But how do we make a decision? Like you and me can sit here and try to, just like American think tanks do all the time, very nonsensically. Like, what is this guy? I forgot his name, Dume or someone. He's like a bought out individual for the American Wall Street Journal or something. And I read sometimes something, it just shows up, and I just laugh at it. It says, why is he doing it? But he has obviously agenda, and we'll see where the agenda fades. Not to exclusively talk about him. I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of people like that in the news reporting agency. So if you want to look at the evidence, yeah, everyone may claim that they are looking at the evidence. But the question to ask is, did you just look at some evidence in an arbitrary and selective fashion versus all the relative evidence? Okay. So looking at the whole evidence, all background knowledge, all evidence, taking into account all the aspects, is logical, not just some arbitrary or selective evidence, because it supports what the agenda that one individual, yourself, or some individual wants to push. So that evidence kind of has these two extremes: selection of arbitrary or selective evidence, which is illogical. Now, I have shown this, for example, Aditya ji, and feel free to interrupt me, by the way, with my research, right, of last 25, 30 years of research. But what is the beauty of this framework? This framework applies to anything that we do. It applies for just, you name a subject, name a issue where it has two or more sides, and we will look at the four sides here today. Okay, Chatushkoti logic. Okay, the Chatushkoti Nyaya, we can call it. We will look at this. So just looking at the evidence, we have two extremes. One is we look at all the evidence, all the relevant evidence, which is a logical step. And the other extreme is to look at only arbitrary or selective. Selective meaning it's done in a certain fashion with the agenda in mind. Arbitrary is driven by ignorance. The person even doesn't know how to evaluate a certain situation and decide what is true and what is false. Okay, so that's the two differences there. Now look at the testability. This is where the Vijnana comes into picture. And Jnana and Vijnana, you can say, now they're not the opposite ends per se, they are on the continuum. But Jnana, you can think of that on the metaphysical side, and we'll talk about them with examples. And then scientific, which is to say, from that big metaphysical realm, we will select certain things and we say, okay, we can call this scientific. Now, this is very important. Remember, many times we talk about something as scientific and unscientific, or non-scientific, unscientific. In the Dharma tradition, the opposite of scientific is not unscientific. I mean, unscientific things exist. Idiotic things do exist, right? Foolish things, and we will look at that. But the opposite of scientific is metaphysical. Now, if I have to quote Richard Feynman, a great Nobel laureate and one of my favorite professor, he says, which is again beautiful, and he has not seen this, okay? I mean, this is my framework. I based on wisdom of ancient Indian narratives, I built this framework, okay? Like, say, 10 plus years ago. He says, we tend to know, we as a human beings or as a society, we tend to know lot more than what science can validate. You see, it's a continuum, it's not opposites. We tend to know more than what science can validate. So whatever we know, but the science has not validated yet, and then we'll talk about what science is, empirical. That doesn't mean something we know, but science has not validated, therefore it is wrong. No, not at all. Okay. Let's take another great philosopher of science, Sir Karl Popper. He says, how does science begin? He says, science begins with the myths. They come from this metaphysical realm. It begins with the myths and a critical analysis of the myths, a criticism of the myths. And how do we do the criticism? We will just look at it. Such a very beautiful, simple framework that you can apply anywhere, exceptions none. Okay. Now, let's look at where do these Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Pradnya, Purvaka fits in. Adityaji, do you, again, as I said, you want to interrupt me, feel free to interrupt me anytime. Otherwise, I'll just go into, yeah.
The Shraddha part is very important for philosophical research, because if you believe that Vyasdev was not right, then why to comment on it?
Wonderful.
Okay.
Right? Or Bhagwan Valmiki, Valmiki Rishi is not right, or you don't trust the content of say Ramayana or Mahabharata or Rigveda or Upanishad or Bhagavad Purana, why go further?
Why go further? And the second thing is, like, if Valmiki was not right, that means you need to write your own thesis.
Yeah.
You need to write your own history, but
Correct.
you cannot take his words and debunk him.
Yeah.
That means you're going against the conclusion. So you can always say that Vyasa, whatever Vyasa has written, I don't accept.
Yeah.
But then you're writing on his words. That means you already accepted it. Whether
Correct.
you took it as untruth. Maybe you took Vyasadeva as untruth.
Right.
Okay. Then why go further after that?
Yes.
Because if you do any research on untruth, or even you're trying to debunk it, that means also you have accepted the truth.
Correct. Yes, Goodell, again, he got a Nobel Prize for a somewhat different research, but Goodell, mathematician kind of, he also, what you're just saying, he also explained it, and for the benefit of our audience, and number of you who know it, they will know it. He did it in mathematics. Like he showed even how the simple mathematics that we think is perfect is not consistent, and how we need a deeper thinking. But the simple statement, it is many times explained, is what you are saying, Adityaji. Like even when you debunk someone, you think you have debunked Vyasa or debunked Nilesh Oak, right? Nilesh Oak's claim, Vyasa's claim, what Vyasa has written, what Valmiki has written, or what Nilesh is claiming. If you want to debunk, hey, you are welcome. But then if you're saying what Nilesh is doing is wrong, then you have to tell, you have a responsibility, and don't be idiot and an irresponsible person. You have a responsibility to tell them what is right.
What is right.
Right. So, for example, what Goodell, or people explain his theorem, the Nobel laureate Goodell, I'm saying, by saying, say, suppose you take a sentence that the God does not exist. Okay. So even the statement itself is saying that God does not exist. And you see the beauty, again, this gets into philosophical discussion, so we'll not go too deep into it. But the fact that the statement is there, the God word is there in that sentence.
Exactly.
Okay, God does not exist. It's like, some of the people in India, just taking a very regular casual example, they will say, they are asked to say, because being a national, nationalist or citizen of that country, you will say, and God save America and something like this. There he says, what is that? Vande Mataram or Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And there are some individuals who will say, and this is the funny part, like just like the God does not exist, they will say, I will not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Now, in that thing, he actually said it, right? Okay. I will not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. I will not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai 3 times. I will not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. The guy said it 3 times. It's a humor, but I'm saying Shraddha is like that, So you have a trust. And the trust can be of both kinds, which is what you said very well. they may have that shraddha or conviction that this I don't trust this text of Mahabharata. Then Aditya's point is, why even bother? There are so many other things in life to waste your time or enjoy your time. Go there. But if you are coming here, there are certain rules to follow. Same thing.
Exactly.
If you are claiming something scientific, you have to follow certain method. It's not your own method of science, whatever you think scientific, right?
A very, very beautiful verse on this one is there. Ashochan and Shochastvam Pragya Vadamsha Basade Gatasuna Gatasumsa
Nanushocanti
Nanu.
Pandita.
So if you want to be
Pradnya,
Pandit,
Pradnya word is there. Pradnya Vadamsha Bhashase.
exactly, Pragya Vadam. If you want to be Pragya Vadams, and then you have to Gatasun very becomes very important.
Yeah.
What is to be done, what is not to be done.
Correct. So he's pretending to be knowledgeable. People, but wonderful. And thank you for quoting that. This is Bhagavad Gita 2.11, right? Second
Correct.
chapter 11. So you are pretending to be knowledgeable. You are pretending to be erudite. You are pretending to be scientific, but you are doing stupid thing. And Krishna is not mincing words. Pradnya Vadamsha Bhashase. And what is the second line, Aditya ji?
Gatasuna Gatasun.
Nanu Shochanti Pandita, but you are behaving like a fool, right?
Fool.
You are pretending to be a pandit, pretending to be knowledgeable.
And another one is Ved Vad Rata Partha Naned Astiti Vadina. You know, Ved Vad Rata Partha, and which means like if you want to give logic on Ved and Vad, and then you also say Naned Astiti Vadina, uske baad then nothing else there. So again, you are contradicting yourself because you read the half shloka.
Yeah.
You know, so the
see, you read the half shloka. You said, think of this: the vertical axis.
Exactly.
You have to take all relevant evidence into the action. Versus, if somebody may take arbitrary or selective. Now, you may or may not be aware of this, but there are these some pradnya vadamsha, but otherwise foolish individuals. You know, with a little arbitrary or selective knowledge. Do you know what they're doing? You may be somewhat familiar. I'm not sure how much. Depending on social media or some forums that you will read, they will take a arbitrary, or I would say selective reference from, say, Valmiki Ramayana or Mahabharata, because they are trying to see if they can point holes in my thesis. No, pointing holes in my thesis is actually dharmic krutya. Okay. To find holes, like find gaps, is a good thing, because Mundaka Upanishad talks about kshina dosha.
Correct.
Our objective is to minimize our errors,
Yes.
because to err is human, right? We know that. So objective is to minimize our errors. So if they are doing with this genuine attitude, then I would be thankful to them. But that's not their objective. What they are doing is they have not bothered to read this. They do not have a shraddha. Based on their activities, I come to realize that they don't have a pradnya either. They don't have an intellect. Okay, that's why Nyaya Darshana says, pravartana lakshana dosha. See, if a person is keeping his mouth shut, Aditya ji, you will not know whether that person is a fool or a person is very intelligent.
Absolutely.
when he opens the mouth, like Mark Twain has said that, right? If you are a fool, don't open your mouth, okay? Because and remove all the doubt of who you are. Until you keep the mouth shut, people may think he looks like a fool, or he may be a fool, or he may be an intelligent person, just not talkative.
And another important point is, like, if you want to understand Veda, it's sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam vedescha sarve raham vidyavid. Now, the logic of understanding the rest of the scriptures come from Gita Upanishad.
Yeah.
If you look, I always say Netra Chakshu is one aspect, Shastra Chakshu is another aspect.
Yes.
So if your mindset is Shastra Chakshu, then you will be able to find out correctly, Paripatena, Pariprasha, we already discussed that in the past, Luka. Then a Virya comes.
Yes.
Because then you are on a solid foundation. The logic I'm using is coming from here.
Correct. Which is the Shraddha, the Pradnya. See, think of it. Shraddha meaning, that, say, you're a pilot. You know that this aeroplane is going to fly. You have trusted
powerful
in the Boeing and, the G engines. Now the Pradnya, you have an intellect and you know which direction you are going and so on. You start the engine. That's the prowess, right? You are starting this. Now, what you just said, if you have all this in the right proportion, in the right way, then you're going to go to your destination.
Exactly.
Pure engines just firing up is not sufficient if you don't
Not
know how to control. Samyak and Sanyam, if you don't have a Samyak and Sanyam.
yes.
Okay. The
Yes.
couple other things that you said, beautiful. You quoted, what was that? Matta Smriti Jnana Apohanancha, right? From 15 Adhyay. Sarvasya Chaham Rudhi Sannivishta,
Sannivishta.
right? Matta Smriti Jnana Apohanancha. This is also very important, which is to say, what people see, because it's a Ramayana and Mahabharata, of course, sometimes they are considered Shruti, like a Pancham Veda Mahabharata, but also Smriti in the sense, Mahabharata that we have is actually like 4 or 5 recensions.
Yes.
So Vyasadeva created, Vyasadeva told to his 5 Shishya, including Vaishampayan. Vaishampayan said it to Janmejaya, and then Romaharshana Sauti is there to listen to it. Romaharshana Sauti goes to Naimisharanya, and there we have a Shaunaka Rishi, and now he's saying, and that is documented. So yeah, certain things have been updated. That is understood, right? Now, when that happens, some things, sometimes apparent conflicts might enter. Just like we did a session on the lifetime of Krishna.
Correct.
And how Bhagavatam may say slightly different. Bhagavatam might say 125, and then Chandogya Upanishad, some might do the interpretation. It has nothing to do with Krishna's lifespan. But somebody will take that 116, where it says live for 116, and somebody therefore took it literally, Krishna lived for 116. My point is, in the different time, place, circumstances, similarly, different context, different things will come. And so, how do we do it? So that second line that you said, Matta Smritir Jnana Apohanancha. So Krishna is responsible, Krishna not responsible. Krishna is he's giving that blessing for Smriti, Jnana, and Apohanancha. Apohanancha has 2 meanings. So Smriti, that remembrance, memory, background knowledge, that's what Krishna's, by Krishna's grace we get it. Smattam Smriti Jnana, then knowledge, intellect, the Pradnya, and Apohanancha, again, it has an element of a Pradnya. One is a fear, what do you call, forgetfulness, which is also correct meaning what you said, and also it means Vivek.
Yes.
Vivek in the sense what to keep, what to forget, or what to include, what not to include. And again, I'll come back to the selective versus logical.
Correct.
See, in the entire, for example, take Mahabharata, like 300 plus references. Well, I openly admit, out of 300, there are close to 10 references which do not match the 5561 BCE, the year that I have identified for the year of Mahabharata war. Now, most of the people, forget the critics. I mean, they have no Shraddha, they have no Pradnya, and they have no prowess. Okay, and not interested in the truth. But the common man gets confused, and common man says, oh, so there are like one thing that doesn't agree from Mahabharata for your date, so it's wrong, right? Okay, I said, then my dear friend, tell me what is correct. Well, what about that person's date? My dear friend, in case of that person's date, not even a single piece of evidence out of 300 matches for that date. This needs Vivek to understand. It's like watching a tennis match and you see the score 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, but you happen to watch only that arbitrary or selective portion of the match where the person who was defeated, the player who lost the match 6-0, 6-0, 6-0, he might have scored a couple of points. Based on that, you cannot call him a winner. This is such a simple, basic, common sense, Vivek. But the people who don't have a Shraddha, don't have a Pradnya, don't have a prowess, and this is also, and they are totally doubtful, which you say beautifully. Many times you say it offline. You say, I'll ask, like, what is the problem with these people? And you will say, well, I think the first problem is they don't have a Shraddha. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, in the end, they will say that there are many Vyasdevs, there are many, this is not the real one. And also, it is a very common human thing. We, in the last look, Apohanamcha, that sometimes Romaharshana Sutta may miss out some information.
Yes.
Because he is not talking, it's a Prakrit Samvad. Because Mahabharata is spoken in between the big Katha. Like the Bhagavad Puran is going on, Sarpa Yagya is going on. Then in between, the entertainment value is Mahabharata. Even though it's a Pancham Veda.
Yeah. Very beautifully you said it, because think of
Nowadays they add the modern Bollywood music, but pehle it was Mahabharat discussed. So,
it.
see what
No,
I'm saying?
correct. Or even Aditya, take you are in my conversation that we are doing right now. What happens is I may have a special subject in my mind, like I'm
Correct.
discussing it, right? But depending on what question you ask, or depending on whatever is on your mind that day, like today,
Yeah.
and when we begin, you may start with something that is on top of your mind, and because of that discussion, it may take us somewhere,
Correct.
right? It may take us somewhere. Let me just close this here. So because of that, it may happen, and that is what is happening in the discussion of a Mahabharat, Ramayana, the Katha also, because depending on the person, like say Janmejay asks a certain question, and so Vaishampayan may have a certain plan what
Yeah.
he is going to discuss today, let's say that day of the Sarpasatra. But because now Janmejay asked a question, now the discussion may go in a different direction. So aponancha is a forgetfulness, which is to say we should know what to forget, which is to say, again, I'll use the tennis analogy. You look at the best of 5 game, player A versus B, and you look at, say, player A, and so A won over B, right? And the score was, let's say, 6-0, 6-1, and 6-2. Now, yes, that means this other player did win total of 3 games. True. But in a Viveka Buddhi, we are going to forget it. We will put that score like that. We should report the score as a 6-0, 6-1, 6-2. But we shouldn't be in a confusion. Achha, but this guy also won a couple of games. So now who is the winner? Are you confused? If you're watching a tennis match, you are not confused. If you see 6-0, 6-1, and 6-2, you know exactly this player A won the game. Which means you have to forget now the fact that the other party won 3 games or so.
Even though he may have played well, this still doesn't matter. The results matter.
The results matter, right? Exactly. And then you may also ask, so if this player won, see, this is what people will say. So, hey, she said, Nilesh, so out of 300 astronomy observations of Mahabharat, 290 support 5561 BCE. So why are these 10 that do not support? That's asking exactly the same way, asking the questions, why, if this player is the great player and who won, how come this player also won few games? Now, if you ask this question, we will laugh at that person, right? Says, what do you mean? Yeah, there are many reasons why this person can win. Similarly, and we are giving the reason right now, I'm saying in the case of Mahabharata or Ramayana, there are many types of errors that gets introduced. It is not the error of a Vyasa. It is not even an error of a Vaishampayan. It is not even an error of Roma Harshana Sauti. Just like you said, depending on the question that was asked, the narration might go in a different direction. Certain details might not be mentioned. Okay, that can happen. And now when we are trying to preserve these ancient treasures, for our generation, through disciplic succession, through oral traditions, through people writing on the palm leaves. I mean, the amount of effort they took. I mean, we see many people will say, I don't read a book. And I'm saying, how lazy is that? I mean, somebody went through the effort of writing a book, doing the research, then printing it, distributing it, publishing it, and so on. And now even the ready-made book, people have become so lazy. That's Kali Yuga. It tells us that the Kali Yuga is still around, that people don't want to read. But let me, one more thing you said, and I'll go further. You also talked about chakshus, right? Do you recall what you said?
Shastra Chakshu and Netra Chakshu.
Beautiful. And so I can't fake this. So this is not like a decided conversation. So you talked about this, and I can even show you, what is been written here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
All right. So there are many type of chakshus we can look at. So charma chakshu is our ordinary indriya, looking through the eyes. So just like you said, shastra chakshu. Then what you said, other one?
The Netra Chakshu.
Netra Chakshu, which is like a physical thing you are talking, right?
Yes.
Which think of this as a Charma Chakshu. Yeah. Then the Shastra Chakshu is a Jnana Chakshu in a way.
Jnana Chakshu. Yeah, that's right.
Similarly, you have a Vichara Drishti. So Vichara Chakshu.
Vichara Chakshu.
Can people actually even think? Adityaji, that is even a challenge for us. Many of our folks, cannot even think logically, cannot even think properly.
For
So
that, there is
a-
another shloka.
Hmm.
Kama esha, krodha esha,
Please go ahead. Yeah.
rajo, kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhava.
Yeah.
So in like based on the guna, also
Yeah.
chakshu comes in, because if you don't come in a sattva guna, then the shastra chakshu won't come.
Yeah. Correct. And absolutely. So krodha esha, kama esha. So there is, say, think of this as a krodha chakshu. If the person is thinking in the context of his anger, and I will quote Nyaya Darshan on that too, then the person is not going to think properly. Krodha, person is angry, person is desirous of something, desirous of popularity, desirous of getting something. And again, Nyaya Darshana talks about this. So he says, Pravartana Lakshana Dosha, Gautam Rishi says, which is to say, when only you see the people's defect through their actions.
That's right.
Okay, Pravartana Lakshana Dosha. That's why also you will find, actually, you can watch in the conferences, you can watch in like social media, like Facebook and Twitter, and even forums and something like this. When people are put on the spot, some people will not say anything. Why? They know moment they open their mouth, they will be exposed. Okay, so because their position is coming from some desirous position. Okay, krodha esha, kama esha. Then just like a Vijnana Drishti, there is a Jnana Drishti and there is a Krupa Drishti. Sometimes people ask me, so Nilesh, how did you figure this out? And in my boastful way, if I want to, I can say, well, you know what, I'm just a smart person. That's how I figured it out. But we know the reality. The reality is that, yes, I put my efforts, and I may be even thinking I put a lot of efforts, like say Arundhati Vasishtha, like 15 years. So I feel like, oh yeah, I put 15 years. But reality, Aditya ji, is when actually the answer came, of course, because of the Shraddha, Pradnya, Virya, doing this for a long time. Like, so Sanyam is what? The definition of a Sanyam is Dhyana, Dharana, and Samadhi together is a Sanyam. So Dhyana, you are focusing on something. Samadhi is like, your contemplation, meditation, thinking about that particular thing. And Dharana is that you are holding it for a long time. You are holding it for a sufficient time on that particular subject and focus on that subject, contemplation, thinking. This is again Patanjali's definition. I don't have it ready here, but it's a dhyana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And the formula is dharana plus dhyana plus samadhi is equal to Sanyam. Okay. That is how you're going to get this knowledge. And that Sanyam is that matta smritir jnana apohanancha. There is a smriti, there is a remembrance, and there is a forgetfulness. You should know what to remember, what to forget. Okay, and also, that is the jnana.
This is also the methodology of developing logic.
Yeah.
Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana. Samstabh, which we can use because it is included. So unless you have that mindset, you will not reach proper conclusions.
Exactly.
In the end, you will not only question yourself, but you'll also question your creator also.
Correct. Well, that's what people do, right? That's what people do. And in fact, Bhagwan has made it easy for them, which is to say, there is one saying, just like Bhagwan is a Sheshashai, he's sleeping on a snake, the metaphor, of course, and the reality. And Lakshmi is like giving a massage to his feet. He has created a Srishti. He has created the universe and with his wisdom, and he's now sleeping. To the extent, it is like almost like automation, artificial intelligence working. What is that verse? Yantra mudani mayaya, like we think we are acting with a pradnya, but it can be like a robotic action if we don't connect with the wisdom of a dharma. One more thing I wanted to say. Before I forget, which is to say, Aditya, I was saying like, hey, yes, you have to have a Shraddha, conviction, reverence for certain thing. Otherwise, don't do it. You said it beautifully. Then a pradnya, you need an intellect. It's like if you need a muscle mass, you have to do push-ups and pull-ups and whatnot. Daily. Similarly, there is a exercise for a pradnya. That's when we do the chanting. In Aditya ji, what you have this whole chanting. Tell me the right name. You have chanting session, right?
Everydaychant.com.
Yeah. Everydaychant.
Japa everyday.
Yeah, it is a exercise for the pradnya. right? It is the exercise for the prajna, it's exercise for the dhyana, dharana, samadhi, and so on. But one more point, I was saying we can do any of these, and we should do, and we ought to do. But until there is a, I'm going to say, krupa drishti and krupa chakshu. See, until Krishna gave to either Sanjaya or even Arjun the Divya Drushti, the Divya Chakshu, they could not see the universal form.
That's right.
Right? So that also has to come. And how does that come? It is not going to come from a begging. It's not going to come from asking. It's not going to come through your efforts. Krishna is looking for your efforts. The Bhagwan is looking for your efforts. Are you putting in these areas? Shraddha, Pradnya, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi. Are you doing it? When he sees that, then he says he's actually like a very kind, right? I mean, that's what we call the Bhagwan. We describe in a different ways, giver. That's why Bhagavad Gita has that other one also. Let me see if I can recall. Is it in 13th chapter? Upadrashta, Anumantacha, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. Right? Upadrashta. Until you get on the right track and you are willing to put your efforts, you show the sense of a Shraddha, Pradnya, Virya, and so on. He just remains upadrashta. He's just watching you. He's not going to involve because you are not interested. He's so kind that if you want to be lazy, he doesn't want to disturb your laziness. Upadrashta. Now you do something in the right direction and he gives a anumati. Then he becomes, that same Bhagwan becomes upadrashta anumanta. He will kind of pat on your back. You'll notice that pat. He said, hey, buddy, you are on the right track. Upadrashta anumanta. Bharta. Okay. When he becomes protector, he's going to provide you, like a library angels. Like I have seen this in my research. People will come from all types of things. Just imagine, just as let me complete. Bharta, then Bhokta, then he starts enjoying with you. He becomes your co-conspirator. Okay. Bharta, Bhokta, and Maheshwar. And there is no difference. I mean, you don't know whether he's doing it or you are doing it. That's the one. But let's take a simple example. Again, very relevant to you and me. How did you and me come in contact with each other? By the way, do you remember who brought us together?
Yes, I know.
You do, right?
Satish. Yeah.
Satish ji, right? And so, for example, what is it that led Satish ji to think of, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to get Nilesh and Aditya to talk to each other. It is what you were doing, right? Shraddha, Pradnya, Virya, with your thing, the Saptology you were doing. It is what I was doing in my world, which is what Satish ji could see. Okay, a great devotee and a Pandit, right? Pandit ji, he could see. And he said, you know what? So think of this, our US $1 bill, the pyramid is there. The person who is, and there is an eye, if you see it, there is an eye at the top of the pyramid, the deity, because the people who started the US Constitution were a deist, right? So there is an eye there. That eye, that vision, that drushti can see on all sides of the pyramids. So think of this for a simple metaphor. Pandit Satish ji is seeing what Aditya is doing there, on the west coast. He also sees what Nilesh is doing on the east coast, and he brings them together. Right? Think of it. I mean, that's what it is. But let's go further and then we'll quickly stop.
And also, I'll just connect that shloka, Upadrashtanumantacha connects, that's the Paramatma, right there. Yogena, Abhyasena. Now, Abhyas people forget. Yoga, they forget. So then the moment you forget Abhyas and Yoga, then Pragya and Virya will not come. Because Shraddha will also not come. So the Satya will be vanchit of Satya all the time.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And so here, so now going back to our original question, our original discussion point of if the dharma is one, how does it kind of manifest or even manifest in the wrong fashion when people do it? This horizontal line, Aditya ji, above that is that Shraddha and Pradnya,
correct?
Okay, which are the necessary ingredient for Saptology, for Satya. Below that, what you're going to find is Asatya, okay, or myth. And you're going to see those words also, okay? You saw the word now. Not everyone can read Nagari, but mithya jnana, okay? And another side, you have just a Sanshay. And what is Krishna saying? See, Sanshay is of a different kind. We will see how the Sanshay can be also used positively. We'll talk about this. Nyaya Darshana talks about it. And maybe next time, to next Saturday, or not Saturday, whenever next time we do it, we will talk about Jnana versus Adnyana, from Ishopanishad. But just to focus here, what Krishna is saying, the samshaya of a mind will destroy you. And I see that the people who are just creating utter nonsense by simply looking at arbitrary evidence, selective evidence. And by the way, do you know why they will pretend that they have only thing against Nileshok? Okay, some of the detractors, or not detractors, some of the idiots who are making chaos, trying to make a chaos, they think they will be successful in a public field. What is there? Why their attitude? Why that attitude comes? Again, Nyaya Darshana is so beautifully explained. So remember, I said pravartana lakshana dosha. Only through their actions you can see the defects, through anybody's defects. And in that same context of a dosha, Nyaya Darshan says, what is it that leads people to errors? And by people, I mean all of us. Okay. But in this specific case, this junta, who is like trying to create nonsense. I have those in mind when I'm saying this, but Nyaya Darshana is saying it for everyone. It says, Tat Trairashyam Raga Dvesha Moha Arthantara Bhavat. 3 reasons why people create defect, or why people lead on the wrong, themselves on the wrong path, or others on the wrong path, on a confusing path. 3 things. Raga, Dvesha, Moha. Raga, it is attachment to a specific thing. It may be attachment to themselves, attachment to their ego, attachment to a specific claim, attachment to some person who they consider holy in their vision, which vision can be right or wrong. Attachment to something. That's why we're talking Samyak Jnana or a Sanyam. Samyak Jnana or Sanyam means attachment to nothing. Okay, having a balanced attitude, that we started with the balance. Then Raga, then Dvesha. They have a detestation, a hate against a specific individual, namely in my case, I would say against Nileshok, a specific individual or a specific claim, or they have an attachment to their own claim, therefore they hate everything else, hate every other claim. Okay, it's like take Mahabharata dating, Ramayana dating, but it can be anything, Sushruta dating. There are people, Aditya ji, who are very much aware of my work, say Sushruta dating. But even when they're talking about Sushruta or Mahabharata, they will not refer to me. Just like jokingly, I will say in the old times, a wife would not take husband's name. In the Indian context, you would have known that. She will not utter his name out of a respect, of course. Similarly, these people, out of a respect, I presume, but they are worried if they say the name, my popularity will goes up. I mean, they cannot increase my popularity, they cannot reduce my popularity, but they think they have a control, so they will do this. Now look at the things that I have written below that horizontal line. What do you have on the left side? Samshaya and Vastu Shunya. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Again, you can complete that verse, I know. Adnyascha ashraddha dhanascha samshayatma vinashyati.
Yes.
Right? So adnya, which is opposite of a pradnya. Pradnya is the opposite of a adnya. Adnyana. Adnyascha ashraddha dhanascha. Look how nicely they are tied. So adnya is the opposite of a pradnya. Ashraddha is the opposite of a shraddha. Okay. Adnyascha ashraddha dhanascha samshayatma vinashyati. If it's a samshaya of a mind, the person doesn't believe in this thing, person doesn't believe in other things, it is going to lead to the destruction of that person. And you are saying it in situ, you're saying this in a live, like, in social media. The second one is a Vastu Shunya. Many people are writing books, they are writing volumes. Okay. And people come to me and ask me, so Nileshji, what do you think of that person or that person's work? And I say, well, okay. I mean, I have read it many times and I have my thing. And they say, well, so, okay, what is that person's claim and what is his or her evidence? And those people who ask me that question, they simply run away, which is very tamasic thing again. You are asking me for opinion. Well, why ask for opinion? The science doesn't work. The dharma doesn't work by opinion. Okay.
And
So
if they analyze their own work from the Shastra Chakshu,
yes,
they'll get
beautiful.
the answers. They don't have to go to anyone else to validate themselves.
Exactly. And that is what I want the individuals who come to me to ask. Now, many times, if that person does it twice out of ignorance and irritation, what do I do is I mute that person. I will. So I'm not that person doesn't know, but next time I don't want to even see what he's asking or she's asking. If they are lazy, tamasic, they don't want to do the homework of their own, like looking at somebody's claim, what you said, if they read it, they should able to figure it out.
Okay.
If they think they cannot figure it out, then they should take to virya, take to prowess, put efforts, tapasya. Satyena labhyas tapasa yesha atma.
Correct.
Bhai, aapko satya you will not understand without tapasya. Satyena labhyas tapasa yesha atma samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. Samyak jnan also is required. Balanced attitude is required. Brahmacharya is required. Okay, now brahmacharya, of course, syllabus is a part of it, but what does it mean? It means thoughtfulness, thinking, contemplating, meditating, tapasya. They are not willing to do anything. Don't waste other people's time. Just get out of the way, guys. There are few dharma warriors who are trying to do something. Get out of their ways. One quick thing on the Vastu Shunya before I get to Mithya Jnana. Again, Bhagwan Patanjali says beautiful thing about Vastu Shunya. He gives again mathematical formula in Samadhipad. I think it's 7, 8, and 9. He says how you get to the truth, like how you get to the prama that we talked last time. He says pratyaksha anumana agama pramanani. Through pratyaksha, anumana, and background knowledge, the synthesis of this triangulation of these three is how it takes you to prama, to true knowledge. Then he says, next one, again, you are Satyology versus mythology and Mithya Jnana. He says, Viparyayo, the exactly next sutra after this number Samadhipad 7. Viparyayo, the opposite of that, Viparyayo Mithya Jnanam Atadrupa Pratishtam. Right? If you don't follow this method, remember we talked about the method that the top right-hand corner, one of the meaning of a prajna is a device, is a design thinking, method to madness, scientific method, logic of scientific discovery, nyaya darshana's avayava, right? Pratijna, hetu, drishtanta, application, and conclusion, nigaman. Okay, there is a method to madness, how you are going to do this. You cannot just randomly pull something, use your limited knowledge in certain field that you may have, and just create a chaos. I mean, hey, be my guest. Your nonsense will be exposed. Okay, you will expose your own nonsense. I mean, that is how this beautifully it works, this method.
And
so Vastu
social
Shunya,
media Chakshu is not the barometer here.
What is it? Say it
social
again.
Media Chakshu is not the barometer.
Yeah, well, social media does some good job. It is good for distribution, right? It is not good for analysis.
Exactly.
Right.
Like you don't analyze your, the wonderful. This is a beautiful slide. That's why we are discussing a lot. This slide opens up many people's brains, and for me and you, we can go hours on just this slide.
We can go for months. We can do a series of 10.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's why it is giving me a lot of ideas. The people think that that without analyzing your words on the basis of Shastra logic, again Shastra Chakshu logic, you can support that with the mental logic. Now Krishna doesn't say no. He says evam buddhe param buddhva samsadavadam atmana. But
Correct.
he says that kama rupa jarasadam. So you have to analyze whether you're doing for kama, pratishtha, kamina. So you have the many factors come into place.
Yes. So now just on that, what you said, I'll say, and then I'll come to Vastu Shunya, which is to say, Krishna is saying, Krishna is not saying good or bad. Correct. Say Satvika buddhi, Rajasic buddhi, and Tamasic buddhi.
Correct.
It's all buddhi. Somebody can have lots of tamasic buddhi. Then he's still a buddhiman. He has lots of it. But it's a tamasic, right? And what is the definition? Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavruta. Sarvarthan viparitamsha buddhi sa partha tamasi. The adharma he considered, like that was our original subject today, right? So if dharma is one, then how somebody misinterprets? Well, adharma, because the person does not understand dharma.
Correct.
Something that is adharma, he thinks it is a dharma. That is the definition of a tamasi buddhi. Adharmam dharmam itiya
Iti.
manyate tamasa avruta. He's full of, with a tamasi thing. Sarvarthan viparitamsha. He takes something and turns through 180-degree opposite.
Yeah.
Exactly
And
understands the other.
Pravritrim cha, nivrittim cha.
Janana. Yeah, go ahead.
Now again, pravritti or nivritti, if you do not understand, then again you'll reach the wrong conclusion. And then it's called
Yes.
Asurik Buddhi.
Correct. And so the last question, not last question, the comment I was making, many people will come to me and say, so and so has written these 5 volumes books or 2 volumes or 3 volumes or something like this. And that person's claims do not agree with you, Nileshji. What do you have to say? I said, just go read. And therefore I ask, like, okay, what is that person's claim and what is the evidence? That is the question I ask. And then these lazy and tamasic folks just run away. They don't respond to that. That one comes into that vastu shunya. So samadhipad number 7, I said, what is that? Pratyaksha anumana agama pramanami. That is how you get to the truth, to the prajna, to the truth, to the sattology, to the sat. Exactly opposite of that, just below, if you see in this quadrant, you come down, somebody looking in an arbitrary fashion, selective fashion, but pretending to be scientific. I would say 99.99% of Mahabharata researchers, I'll just tell you because that is my field. I don't know about other fields, but they are into that mithya jnana. Okay, how? They take a arbitrary or selective evidence, they pretend to test it. They don't understand scientific method. Okay, they do not understand scientific method. Okay, and so that's why we're talking. It needs a sanyam, it needs a samyak, it needs a shraddha, it needs a pradnya, it needs to understanding of what objective methodology is. It needs to understanding of the truth likeness score. Like if you look at all the evidence, which evidence goes to support a certain claim, which evidence goes against it. Any researcher, Adityaji, has to say which evidence matches for their claim and which evidence does not match for their claim.
That's right.
Go look around, ask others, just ask them these questions and look at their expressions or how fast they run away. How you say, can you tell me which evidence, astronomy, whatever, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be astronomy, does not match for your date? They will find all kinds of excuses. But let me come back to Vastu Shunya.
Yes.
So second one is, what is a mithya? Viparyayo mithya jnanam atadrupa pratishtam, which doesn't match with your theory. Many people even don't have a theory, Adityaji. So where comes the question of matching? Okay, and if you don't follow this method of a pratyaksha anumana agama, whatever you come up with, no matter how sincere you may be in reality or how sincere you may feel, it's going to be a false knowledge, mithya jnana. And what is the third one? That is even worse. Okay, I mean, although mithya jnana equally worse than a vastu shunya. The third sutra of a Patanjali, number 9 there, Samadhipad, A789, is Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunya, that is that word Vastu Shunya, Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpaha. If Shabda Jnan, you have just some, aap kya kehte hai, what do you call, mental speculation, you say it. Correct? Philosophical speculation versus mental speculation.
That's right.
So you have made some mental speculation, which is fine, they say, but if it is not backed by objectively testable evidence, Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunya, but there is no evidence to support it. Do you know what you are doing? You create just mental speculation. Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa, it leads to delusion, it leads to confusion. Of course, the delusion and confusion of that individual, but it is a delusion and confusion of the masses, common people.
That's right.
See, some of these folks that I'm referring to, do you know what they do in this bottom quadrant, arbitrary or selective, and they have no ability, no scientific acumen, so they fall where? See, this is how powerful is this framework, Adityaji, and by the way,
very powerful, and also just because you get an education degree doesn't matter.
Yeah, that is also they will complain, but that's another subject.
It's a different thing because you are highly educated, like all of us are, we have, otherwise we won't come to this country.
Right. Right. But see, somebody doesn't have a scientific acumen. Think of it. Somebody doesn't have a Shraddha. Somebody doesn't have a Pradnya. Very obvious where the person falls, right? Here. And you can see that. So first thing, they are doubtful of others. They don't have their own intellect, own Shraddha to figure it out. Okay. And so what is happening? So Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa, they lead to confusion and delusion of their own, but also of the masses. How they do it? They will take something arbitrary, or, and I'll stop on that. We'll stop on that. They will take something arbitrary or selective. For example, just as an illustration, I call them the people who think Mahabharata and Ramayana is happening now, here and now. They think it is happening now. It's not the Vyasa. Vyasa is here into them. Now, of course, Vyasa is there on a spiritual sense. He is there. How? Because they will take some arbitrary or selective evidence, which, for example, and we talked about it, just like in a tennis game, or even in a narrations or recensions, like when the recension is coming from Vyasadeva to Vaishampayan to Romaharshan Sauti to Shaunaka Rishi, finally it gets documented, and people are trying to preserve year over year. Some changes happen, but drastic changes may not happen. Or if the drastic changes happen, they will be seen in the evidence, right? So, for example, the drastic change would be a tennis player who is like a rank holder. Eventually, when he gets older, let's say, eventually he starts losing the matches, and he is smart enough to say, now I take official retirement, or he may continue to play and just lose every match. Right? It is like that. So some of the errors are going to be there. For example, you will find variation. If you see Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute's critical edition, you will see some variations. Why do these variations happen? They happen for many reasons. Transposition errors, transliteration error, transcription errors, sometimes interpolations, sometimes the individual who is writing a commentary, he may write a verse commentary in the verse form. He may write on the side of these palm leaves or whatever for his or her reference. Next time somebody is copying that palm leaf, that person doesn't know whether to copy that verse or not, and may not realize that it is not part of original Mahabharata. So he or she may copy that. And there are some things. But by definition, if we have this Shraddha that the Mahabharata, Ramayana, Rigveda, the way we have it, for most part, it is preserved with all Shraddha and Pradnya and prowess and honesty, then we should able to find significant evidence which points to a certain fact. And some evidence may not agree. So just last one, and we'll stop, Adityaji. So these individuals, do you know what they do? For example, they will find some words which will say take Ramayana, that Chaitra Mas, which is when Rama was born, is in a Vasanta Rutu. And they will say, hey, that's the truth of Ramayana. Now, why that is not the truth of Ramayana? For a simple reason. Actually, it can be truth of Ramayana. So I tell them, if this is what you understand, that in Ramayana, lunar month of Chaitra occurred during the Vasanta Rutu, immediately, see, remember, we say Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa. So that mental speculation is going to lead you towards certain path. Now, why that can be a confusion? I'll tell you why it is a confusion. Just taking this example. So the person is saying Ramayana times Vasanta Rutu, a Chaitra Mas was during the Vasanta Rutu. So I said, okay, be my guest. First thing, you are not you don't have a scientific acumen. You don't realize that you have to take all the evidence into account. You don't have a scientific acumen, so you don't know how to test it objectively. But be it as it may, so let's go with what you are claiming, which means what you are saying is that Ramayana is happening now. Why? Because in our times, Chaitra Mas occurs during the Vasanta Rutu. And that's exactly what Ramayana is saying, that one particular arbitrary or selective verse of Ramayana that this individual is quoting. So it is happening in our time. Or what do we have to do? Now, again, they don't even have the background knowledge, Adityaji, Smriti. They don't understand precision of the Earth's axis. Either you have to accept that it is happening now, possibly 1,000 years ago, possibly 2,000 years ago, because Chaitra Mas and Vasanta Rutu will last for, like, say, 4,000 years. So we can go back up to 2,000 years plus, or we can go 1,000 years in future. Okay, so Ramayana will happen in future. What kind of nonsense, right? Or if you understand the precision of the Earth's axis, then you have to go back by 26,000 years. What is funny? They will not accept that Ramayana is happening this time, now, or 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, because they will not say it. They will keep their mouth shut because now they fear that their foolishness will be exposed. But Adityaji, that foolishness is exposed anyways with what they are claiming in an arbitrary selective fashion. Okay, so this is one. I'll just stop it by saying they do the same nonsense for Mahabharata also. They will pick one statement from Kartika. Okay, Kartika month coming in a certain fashion. We will actually, what we may do, I want to stop today because we went almost 90 minutes. We will use this framework, Adityaji, if you think it's a good idea. And actually, I'll bring some examples. We will take certain reference and we will say when we draw the inference from it, using the Nyaya, Dharma, Shraddha, Prajna, Virya, and Nyaya, like the Avayava principles, which conclusion it leads us to, and if we misunderstand or misinterpret, which other conclusion it leads to. And guess what? It's going to take us into these 4 buckets, right? I mean, so both true and a false, which is to say, remember what I quoted Feynman, we know more than what science can validate. Or Sir Karl Popper saying, all science begins with the myths and a criticism of myths. It starts from this bucket. We have ancient Indian narratives. Well, some of the things may or may not be true in it because of the modifications and whatnot, but there is a truth and there is a falsehood possibly in it. How do we separate? Using all these methods. Then there is a truth. Then there is neither true nor false. I think we have gone over time, so I'll not discuss that today. We will take this next time. And then there is definitely we can say this is false. Now that we have sufficient evidence, I can say anyone claiming anything for Mahabharata other than 5561 BC is decisively false. That much evidence we have. But we will stop, Adityaji, on this one. Next time we will use this framework and we will start analyzing all the fun that happens in all the 4 brackets of this framework. Okay, the top left-hand corner, the bottom left-hand corner, top right-hand corner, and bottom right-hand corner. So with that, let me stop sharing. And if you want to say concluding words, Adityaji, you may do that.
So we conclusively, actually, one thing we proved, dharmam to sakshat bhagavad pranitam, nave vidur na suradayo. It is very difficult to understand the concept of dharma. Very, very vidur also, very vidu, all the vidwana, vidu, even they cannot understand it. But
Correct.
At least they can understand that dharmam to sakshat bhagavad pranitam. Dharma definition is always created by someone who is beyond all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You and I can discuss upon it, and we may come to sometimes wrong conclusion. That time we have to be corrected, and sometimes we can come at the right conclusion when we have to stay confident. When some people say, "Why you say so strongly many words?" Because I'm convinced with it.
Correct. And still, Adityaji, you are willing to be wrong. Even
Absolutely.
When you say with a conviction, say I'm saying 5561 BC with conviction, and I'm still willing to be wrong.
Yes.
If somebody can come up with a better claim, the problem is nobody comes with a better claim. But they still ask me to give up. You are wrong. There is this one individual who says his whole job is to just prove I am wrong, not to prove what is right.
Actually, Nileshji, what you have done in the world, not just here, in the world, is you have given a lot of homework. And people have to step up their game.
Absolutely.
And one thing is good, Nileshji, so many people are reading Mahabharata because of you. You just look at that.
True. I'm glad you are noticing it, but I also get this.
So you have done one of the biggest service to Mahabharata in modern times, right? In our times right now, because you're forcing people who have not even read Mahabharata to read Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Which is your biggest contribution to everyone.
Yeah, and researchers are upset with me. Do you know why? Because now they have to read Mahabharata. So far, they could claim that they are Mahabharata experts without reading Mahabharata.
Not the English translation. Sanskrit.
No, Sanskrit.
Because
And on that, like you had a Dr. Varsha Sardaji just not that long ago. That just people are also telling me, and sometime I just say, okay. So first, I'll tell you what they tell me. He says, Nileshji, because of you, I started learning Sanskrit. And sometimes I ask myself, when did I ask anyone to learn Sanskrit? I didn't ask, but now they understand what you're saying. They have to learn in the original.
In the original, and read it, and do not another thing is, when Vyasdev has written, you don't have to completely debunk even Vyasdev. Like somebody came to tell me that Krishna learned Bhagavad Gita from Parabrahma. I said, from where did you come with that?
Well, okay. Well, that is what it is, right? That's why, see, again, you can take a statement like that. We will do that next time over a series where you take somebody's statement like that. And then we ask the question, what is your evidence?
Yeah.
And then you will see where he or she falls into those 4 buckets, so we'll do that.
He says very clearly that I am the source of Brahma. He says, therefore, he himself is Parabrahma, and Arjun also calls him Paramam Bhavan Parabrahma. He calls him Parabrahma. Anyway, the important thing is that Bhagavad Gita is such a logical book, gives you a platform of nyaya.
Yeah.
Where you can, if you remember just 700 shloka or read it, and you get an idea, that is enough for you to draw proper conclusions of other aspects also. It's part of Mahabharata. If you don't like Mahabharata, then probably you should not read Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So
I want to end on a humorous note. Okay. Just you may have realized, of course, I call you Aditya Ji, you call me Nilesh Ji, and but sometime you'll call me Nilesh, and that's great, and I'll call you Aditya too, right? But I'm just jokingly saying, you must have been impressed with me today. I'm just jokingly saying that you started calling me at the end like Nilesh Ji, and just the fun thing I'm going to pull is from Bhagavad Gita. See, in the 11th chapter, like Vishwarup Darshan, even right in the Vishwarup Darshan, many times Arjun is calling Krishna, you are this, you are that, you are that, you are that. You in the sense of just a you, like a tu, like tvam, kind of thing. And suddenly, then finally, when he sees Krishna's Vishwarup Darshan, he's suddenly like impressed and scared and what that. When he just starts using the language of a Bhavan. Like up, like Your Excellency. So I'm just saying, that's just a fun that happens. But thank you very much. This was wonderful, and I hope our viewers enjoyed it, and hopefully our YouTube viewers also enjoy it. So I will encourage them to add comments. Many do, but many more can also do it. Back to you, and you can conclude.
Thank you so much. And I wouldn't want to be called Bhavan by you, but anyway, but thank you for respectfully saying that. And yes, that is a striking difference right after that. Bhavan, like you strikingly. But as if the Vishwarupa he did not know before. He knew. Right. But again, he said, suddenly came to his sense. Anyway, thank you all for listening so attentively. It was a long discussion, but I let it continue because none of you left who were live. And also many people got added. That is a success of our event. And on YouTube, do share it widely. Let people know. And our Shastric discussions are filled with humor because Shastra, anyone who knows Shastra has the best humor. And that humor lasts till the very end. So the best poetry, many of you would like to go for Hasya Sammelan. Bhagavad Gita is one book which will make you Hasya Sammelan on yourself. So then you'll realize that who is laughing at who in the end. So please.
The humor is on you. That's what Aditya Ji is saying, right? Bhagavad Gita will tell you humor is on you.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much and namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.